Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Smitty here with the Daily Dimensions podcast, and I am joined by my friend, educator, entrepreneur, and just all around legend, man. Jasmin, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me today. I'm very excited to now join the Daily Dimensions crew.
We got another one, man.
Yes.
So before we get started, right, where can we find you on social media? Where can people follow you, see your work, all that fun stuff?
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram at _JASSMI4Ns.
4 N's.
Yes, 4Ns. That's my name. And you can follow me on there. My work is shared in the link in my bio. And if you need anything else, you can contact me through my Instagram. I have my business phone number up there available for bookings and inquiries and things like that.
Okay, awesome. And I'm going to let y'all know, right, when you go to her page, understand right now this is a lot of humility. She is very humble. She did this to me. She was like, yeah, just follow me. I follow her. I get home, and it's like the most amazing work ever. So, like, definitely tap in with her. We're going to put her bio and everything in the show notes. We're going to do that.
Thank you.
But getting into it. So, off rip, how we met. The event I was telling y'all about, I did like 25 interviews in one day. And Jasmin comes up to me. I didn't know Jasmin from nothing. She didn't know me from a can of paint, nothing. And she's like, yeah, let's do an interview. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. Let's make it happen. And through that conversation, I realized we need a bigger interview than what we just had in those 2-3 minutes, because you do so much. Like, not just, you do so much, and it needs to be acknowledged. It needs to be shared. People need to see it. So the thing that immediately caught me was how you work as an educator. So can you tell us real quickly what it is you do, and then we're going to touch in on that.
Yes, I appreciate the acknowledgement. Thank you. I really do.
Always.
So I work with children. For my full-time job, I work with children with autism, and I love what I do. I'm entering my 4th school year working with children with autism, and it has just shown me so much about how children interact, about like how to really be a support system for kids, and it's actually taught me how to care for people in general, like, you know, just to like open my heart up and be much more compassionate, much more understanding. It's shown me so much, and it's been a beautiful experience from what I've been able to learn, and how it's taught me to just grow, you know, more in my mind and in my heart.
I love that, man. And I love how it just exposes different sides of yourself, because if you haven't worked with people with mental illnesses, it's a whole different, what you think it's going to be and what it is once you start is very different, especially children with autism. And I remember I had an internship in college, and I was at an elementary school working with kids with autism, and it just opened my eyes up so much. Like the level of just care you have to have and patience. Do you feel like in that work experience, it's helped you to be even a better person outside of that? Like as you enter out into the world outside of the people that you work with?
Yes, it definitely has. I actually, I got the job at a time where I was kind of hurt as a person. Like I was actually I was more so healing as a person.
Yeah.
And having to go into a job that I had to like really use my heart, because I had to, like, you know, it gave me that extra push that I needed to go the rest of my journey, like, you know, opening myself back up. So it has taught me a whole lot, you know, has helped me grow and shaped me as a person a whole lot, because one thing that it's taught me, like outside of teaching academics, it's taught me how to like still care for someone and not hold things against them.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like they could wild out, like, you know, really
they
wild
have
out.
Them days.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, students can like smack you in the face. It can get really very physical. It's happened to me plenty of times.
They don't know, as a teacher, you might have to box a kid.
Right? It gets serious. It gets serious. It really gets real in the paint. So, like, you know, it's taught me how not to hold things against people. And that's a skill that was valuable for me and translated into actually, like, you know, my adult life outside of work.
We love that, man. So then what's the ultimate goal? Do you want to stay in education forever? Do you want to like eventually be a social worker, or where do you see this going for you?
Yes. My end goal was education. I always wanted to keep it a part of me. Like, you know, I want to be an artist with photography, and I always want to be an educator. I don't want to have to let one of those go. So I could see my end goal being me owning and operating a daycare. And I would love for also to have a component to offer ABA therapy, like therapy for kids on the spectrum. I would love to have that. And that would be like, you know, my I'll get to a point where I don't have to be there every single day. I'll just have
It'll
that
just run itself.
So I go off and be a photographer.
We need that, man.
Yes.
Access to like that early childhood education and all that. Like we definitely need that. So you run that daycare. I'm sending my kids to you. Like,
Tell them,
please
come on.
treat them
Come
right.
on.
I need them
Yes.
speaking French by 2 years old. And you broke something.
No,
What you
it's
break?
not water bottle.
But we love that because it's something that's so important and doesn't get talked about enough. Like we never know how many people are truly, like, as a parent even, or as a brother or sister, have someone in their family with special needs and like need that different attention and just the love and care that is necessary. And I think we're finally entering into a space where the world is opening up to these kinds of things. We're having these conversations. We're on platforms like this, making these things happen. So I love that. And what I also love is that you said you don't want to give up either one of your visions. So let's talk about photography a little bit. How did you, like, what made you first pick up a camera? What got you into that?
Cool. So I've been in love with photos since I was a little kid. Like, my mom always had a bunch of photo albums, and I would just love going through them and looking at like my baby photos of like family reunions, old Halloween costume photos. I just love looking at pictures. So I think it was just something that I was born with. And then when I got to high school, I took a photography class and I enjoyed it. I learned some basic principles about, how to compose a picture and settings and things like that. And then way after high school, way after college, I just bought a camera. I was like, let me just try it out.
Let's just do it.
Yeah, and it took me very farther than I would have imagined, sooner than I would have imagined. Like, so it's just been a great journey. But I've always loved photos, and I just picked up, I was on sale. I bought my camera on President's Day. I always tell people, if you want to buy expensive equipment,
President's Day,
buy it President's Day. Yes, I bought it for like, I probably got $400 off my camera.
400?
Yes. So I always tell people President's Day, February, Black Friday, President's Day, Memorial Day, Labor Day. Those, like, they have the best sales. The best time.
See, I know the other days, but President's Day is a weird one because who really celebrates President's Day?
Exactly.
Except for when Barack was here. We was on it.
Yes,
That's when we was on it. But okay, so now this journey let me say this too. There's not that many women in the camera space. It's like every person you see with a camera is a male, and the places you have to go as a camera person is a lot of male dominated spaces. So do you ever get intimidated being in these male dominated spaces, or do you feel like, I'm really him, like I'm really her, like I'm supposed to be here?
I definitely feel like I'm her. Big her, definitely her.
Big her.
Yes. I usually don't feel intimidated. Thankfully, I feel safe, wherever I go. I don't go places where I think I won't be safe, or I think that it's not straight business. I will not go.
Ain't nobody hit you with none of them crazy, like, let's work, and the work look like something different.
No, thankfully it hasn't been that.
Okay.
But yeah, like, I just try to beforehand make sure the people that approach me are about business. I don't want anything personal. It's just for business. And yeah, I don't feel intimidated wherever I go. Like, God has put me in these rooms, so I gotta be there, like, like I'm supposed to be there. So
yeah. So now you mentioned it. God has put you in some rooms, man, and a door He opens, nobody could close it, right? So one of these rooms He's put you in is bars on I-95. And for y'all who don't know, there's no reason you shouldn't know, but bars on I-95 is one of the littest platforms, especially this side of the country, but nationwide. It's major.
Yes.
Like the guest list that has been on that show, the talent that has come through that show.
Skills over politics.
Come on. And you're a part of making that happen. So, like, how did that connection happen? How did that door open? How did God make that way for you? Let's talk about it.
Yes, it's honestly like just literally nobody but God. I think that I've just been able to get my name out within the state, especially working with music artists. Like in the beginning of my career, I worked with Kaylee Roselle and Sholi, a rapper Sholi.
Shout out to Sholi. Man.
Yeah, so I worked with two music artists that people have, whenever they see me with a camera, they just associated me with doing music.
Yeah,
and bars is Connecticut's #1 hip hop and rap platform. So of
#1.
course we do music. So when they reached out to me, it was just an organic fit, and I had to like do a trial run and some stuff like that to just show them my work. But everything worked out, and it's been an amazing experience. Like from the first time I shot my first concert, like I knew immediately that I wanted to use my camera to capture things music related. So it's an immense blessing to shoot with bars, like not only for the stature we're acquiring, like amongst platforms and stuff like that, because we're based out of Connecticut, but we're growing. We've done shows in Cali and Arizona, stuff like that, so we were definitely growing. But just like because it means so much to me, like I love music and I love using my camera to capture music, so it's just amazing. Like it's been a huge blessing.
So now, what you do with them? Do you do just the photography piece? Do you do video? Do you do everything? I seen you DJing the other day.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, she really does everything. Like,
yes. I'm a Jill of all trades, but I'm a production photographer for bars, and I actually did the camera work on a previous episode that we're gonna air soon. So I did a video on top of bars,
Nice.
So I'm a kind of utility player, but for the most part, I'm a production photographer. And I did did some DJing. We had a break in between shows, and one of our DJs, E1, like taught me the basics, and it was fun. Yeah, shout out to the DJs, because you have to really think quick, and you have to be on it. But I had a good time. It was really fun.
So let me find out. You about to be traveling,
taking
photos, DJing.
I'm gonna do it all. I'm gonna do it all. I'll be like my one-stop shop for entertainment. Capture it and provide it.
And then provide the music as well.
Yeah,
we love that, man. So your work with bars, do you see that being something that continues with you long term, or do you see yourself even growing as it grows, or growing even bigger? Kind of thing.
I would love to shoot with bars as long as I can. I think that bars will only get bigger. Our reach will only grow, and I would love to write it out and see how far it goes, because we could go all the way. Like we have a lot of recognition, but we could be big as anybody else's platform. So
I'm making magic happen right now.
We're really covering ground. So I would love to write it out with bars and see how far we can go.
You might be able to teach your kids how to write some rhymes. I ain't gonna hold you.
I might. You never know.
It might be the dopest field trip they ever take.
Right. Bring your kid to work. Then there's bars on i-95. That'd be so cool.
Yeah, you'd be like, my mom's cooler than yours.
Right. Yes.
Oh man, I love it. And then, that's not just all of who you are. Obviously there's the photography, there's the videos, there's the educator piece. But what I think I love about you the most is that you're a woman of faith. Even before we was talking about it, right? Like you be fasting, and I love it. You prayer, walking with God, keeping him close. What does your spiritual life mean to you as you enter out into this crazy world we find ourselves in?
Yes, that's a great question, and I would love for you to talk about it too if you'd like.
We here.
Yes, that's a great question. And I was telling my dad the other day that as I'm, a photographer within the music industry, is so much going on within the music industry.
Very much.
It's so like much going on.
The devil's playground, man.
It really is. It really is. So I'm glad that I've had some of my foundational experiences with God early on in my life and in my career, especially, early on in my career, because I've gotten to a point where, my faith and my values and God is my North Star, not anything else. So, I know what I have to, I know what I have to let guide me, and I know what I have to answer to, rather than just get sucked up in everything else, because it's easy to get sucked up in the music industry. Even though I'm a photographer, I'm not a rapper, I'm not in the booth, whatever, like I'm right next to these people, and it's really easy to get sucked into all of that.
Yeah, if you surrounded by it all the time, and you feel me, it's bottles and drugs and all this stuff everywhere, it's very easy to get swept up in it, even if you're just a camera person, because you documenting it. You feel me? You may not be partaking in it, but you're documenting it. So one thing I posted the other day, I forgot when, but it was a little bit back, and it's like your principles should dictate your situation. Your situation shouldn't dictate your principles. And what I love is that you can find yourself in this space, but your principles aren't changing.
Yes.
You're able to be that light in a room where there may be a little bit of darkness, And do you feel as though, how do I want to phrase this? Do you feel as though you're able to be a light in that space to people, even though it may be like a little dark sometimes?
Yes, I think that, one thing that I'm realizing and I'm understanding is that God really does have me on assignment wherever I go.
Big assignments.
Yeah. So, I whatever it is, and whatever and I'm one thing that I'm also realizing too is that I am a light wherever I go. Like, I do bring good energy wherever I go. I do bring. I feel like just a good word, good morale, stuff like that. So I'm positive that wherever God has me is for a reason, and so I'll reach out to somebody or connect with somebody on some kind of purposeful.
Yeah.
No, level.
Wherever you go, you're being used. I love that, man. And then, so another thing we want to touch on, right? Keeping it in the faith realm, is in a world where, and we touched on it earlier, in a world where the ice spices is you feel me? Like, is the ones that's being recognized, and like, you got to show some skin, and you got to do this, and you got to do that. Do you ever feel like there's pressure to be that kind of person, to be acknowledged and to be accepted? And then how do you fight that and just stay who you are, stay true to yourself? Especially in the music realm, because it's everybody wants something.
Yes. I think that within the music realm, women have so I think that like within the music realm industry-ish, it's so male dominated, right? So like, everything is kind of based off of male thinking, right?
Yeah.
So I think that when women enter the music industry, in some cases, being that it's so male, it's based off of male thought, I think that women are kind of looked at as objects rather than like, business. People. Yeah, So I think that, yes, to some extent, like I feel like whenever women are around in the music industry, there is like, some kind of pressure to look a certain way, to carry yourself a certain way, like dress a certain way, XYZ. But and luckily I've been around people who have respected me for who I am, and like not tried to do too much,
push it that way.
Yeah. But so yeah, I do think that there is pressure for women to kind of like play that sexy role. But luckily I know who I am, like, and my parents raised me with great morals. Like my parents raised me like so that I would be well equipped to go encounter these kind of things. Like my parents were real strict with how I dressed when I was younger and stuff, so it just always stuck with me. Like I haven't been a very liberal dressing kind of person up until like my last few years. So
started branching out a little bit.
Yeah, but it hasn't been like I don't feel that pressure. I'm comfortable being myself, is what I'm saying. Like I'm comfortable being myself. I'm comfortable not having to look cute for somebody when I'm there for business. Like, of course, you want to maintain a good first impression and a good impression, but I'm confident in myself and not being nobody's object of desire. No.
We love it, man.
Yeah.
You know who you are, and that's the biggest thing, because there's so many people, and like, this is not like directed towards, but there's so many people that are just lost and don't know who they are, and because they're lost, they just bounce around from thing to thing and like person to person and place to place. So knowing who you are and like staying firm in that, don't ever lose that.
Yes.
We're gonna revisit this conversation like 5 years from now when you at the BET Awards and the Grammys. I'm like, stay who you are. All right.
Hold me accountable to that.
You feel me?
We're gonna bring it back.
We definitely will. And you talked about your parents. So, you said they had you like dressed strictly. Was they sending you like to school with like no skin showing? You can't show your wrists, like no ankles, full pants on? Like,
no, it was not that bad. Thankfully, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that strict. But my parents just always taught me like just to have like good standards and how to present myself. Like, my dad was really big on cultivating like my intellect. So I was just naturally like never a girl who was focused on like my looks. Like, thankfully I've always been pretty, but like, I was never one that was focused on my looks, or it was like looks first. So I don't bring that in with me, when I'm around these people that are that think of women as an object first before a person. Like, no.
And then you mentioned your dad, right? So how important has it been for you to have a dad that instills that kind of thing in you? Because we was mentioning earlier about like fathers aren't always present and how that can shape, like we talk about how it affects men, and we have men being raised by women, right? But there are a lot of women who need a man's presence as well, and they're missing out from having that. So how important is it that your dad was able to instill some of these things in you to you?
Yes, it's very important. Thankfully, like, men and women complement each other, and when you don't have that complementing role, you are out of whack.
Very.
Yeah. So it goes for relationships, like, friendships, intimate relationships, and it also of course naturally goes for life, like, from your parent to a kid. So a girl needs her dad, and a boy needs his mom, in the same way that you need your parents. Like, it's very important to have that balance. Especially very important for a woman to have her father. So it has taught me a lot. Like, it has given me like an example of how I should be treated. And when I went into the dating world, it was so different because my dad, me and my dad have had our ups and downs. And we've had definitely some rocky stages in our relationship. But right now we're at a point where we're just, working towards renewal and working towards restoring our relationship, which is really good. So we've had some downs, but my dad treats me great. Like, I don't have to worry about nothing when it comes to my dad. Man. Yes. So like when I got into dating and I see how guys treat women, I'm like, ew, like what? So it's actually very important for a woman to have that example of like, how you should be treated, and also for a woman to not be lacking things, like, like to not want.
You don't need it. You don't got to go find it in someone else. Like, So if you could give advice, right, to our age range right now, woman coming up, like what would you say to that younger woman who is trying to find herself, stepping into this dating world, trying to be independent, be a big girl? What would you say to that girl right now? What's the advice you would give her?
That's a good question. Let's see. The most important thing I would say, or some advice I would give to a young woman coming up. One thing I would say is to check in with yourself. Yeah. Like daily, or at least once a week, and talk to yourself, how am I feeling today? What am I doing? Like, what did I allow to happen to me? What's going on in my relationship? Like, do I like it? Is it making me happy? Is it not making me happy? Are there some red flags here? Yeah. Like, don't just be on autopilot. Don't just let things go. Just, keep going with the flow. Check in sometimes. Think about, like, how your actions are what they say about how you feel about yourself, what they say about how much you respect yourself, things like that. Like, really check in with yourself and allow yourself, and be connected with yourself. Don't be disconnected with yourself, because when you aren't in tune with yourself, anything goes. You go where the wind blows. But when you're connected with yourself and you know who you are, like, you can stand firm and stay grounded. And,
that's a fact.
Who you are, who you're not.
And it's important to be that way because it lets you set boundaries. And a lot of people, I've been there. I struggled with boundaries for such a long time, and boundaries are so important because if you don't set that boundary, the other person's going to set it for you. And if you keep letting them push that line and push that line and push that line, eventually you're going to start losing yourself, and you're going to be like, I used to be this person. Now I'm that person. Now I'm that person. Now I'm that person. And you look up and you're like, dang, how did I get here?
Right. Yes.
Like, where did I get to this point where I don't love myself no more, and I don't feel this way, and I feel the other way, So boundaries is super, super important.
Yes.
And go ahead. Because you look like you about to drop a gem, and I'm not going to stop you from dropping this gem. Go ahead.
Yes. Boundaries have been monumental for me. Like, I realized that I grew up and I didn't know how to set boundaries with people. Yeah. And it was like, realizing that was a shocker, and having to implement them was a shocker. Like, it was a hurdle for me. It was a lesson for me. But yes, in the same way that you said that, once you'll get to a point, you'll find yourself at a point where you don't know how these things happen. Like, you're absolutely right. When you don't have boundaries, when you can't say, nah, that's too much, you can't get that part of me, or you don't treat me like that. You get so far that you don't realize, like, what's going on, and you can be so unhappy with yourself. So I think that, like, checking in, like, along the stages is a great way to slow things down and not get it to that point where you feel like it's overwhelming, but just you can get a grip in it. As things come up, you can deal with them.
You know what I could see you doing, and you probably heard it before. You got that look like someone's told it to you before, but I can definitely see you speaking to young women.
Really?
Yes. Like I could see you having your own group kind of thing. Like even like I feel like that educator in you can lead some good women, man. I feel like you can be a part of bringing up that next generation of women that like loves themselves, cares about themselves, doesn't have to be a city girl, don't got to be Meg Thee Stallion. Like your knees don't got to be good for you to be a good person. That's a good point. I can definitely see you doing that, man.
I'm gonna keep that in mind.
If you hear it again, just remember where you heard it first. You feel me? We spoke that into existence right now. So tell us what's next for you. You know, I know you got a lot of different things happening. Bars is obviously a part of your life. What's next in your creative journey? What do you want to start making happen soon?
I could say what's next for me is I want to go back to shooting for fun, and I would love to get to a point where I do like exhibits and like show my work in person. Yes, I would love to do that. So I really want to get back to shooting, not just for business. I'll obviously keep my business, of course, but you
gotta get paid.
Yes, but I want to get back to just shooting for fun, like, you know, having a vision in my mind and just creating it and bringing it into fruition and putting it in a picture. So I would love to do that, and I would love to, you know, maybe at least for now, once a year, show my work. So maybe like, you know, do a in-person photo dump of some of my work with bars on i-95, or like, you know, do a little showcase of people that I've shot with and pictures that I didn't get to post on Instagram, things like that. Yeah, I would love to get into showing my work in person, because one thing about me, I'm a sensitive artist.
You said I'm sensitive about my stuff.
Yes. So whenever I post work, I love to talk about it. Like I love to have some engage there.
Some dialogue behind it.
Yes, I think that's important for art. Like, you know, art is to be consumed and to, like, you know, be digested and talked about. And, you know, what do you get from this? What do you see from that? What do you enjoy about this? Like, I think
picture's worth 1,000 words.
Yeah, I think that's very important for art. So I don't like it when I post, and not just from like a likes, like a numbers standpoint, but I don't like it when I post my work on Instagram and it kind of gets like lost in the algorithm or whatever it is. You know, I don't like that. I post my work because I want people to engage with me. You know, so I think that I would enjoy doing like at least one show per year, like just showing my work in person, so I can actually get to meet people and talk to them about, you know, my art and what they think about it and stuff like that.
I love that for you, man. Because like you said, and I've had this conversation a million times, I hate Instagram with a passion. And it's even worse if you're someone who's a photographer or a videographer or anything in that realm, because you can create something so amazing and put it out there, and Instagram is going to lower your quality. It's going to lower the engagement. People won't see it. And it's like, where else am I going to put this work? So creating that space for yourself is great. And for you to celebrate yourself.
Yes, right.
You know, because again, one of the most humble people I've ever met, and we haven't known each other that long, but one of the most humble people I've ever met. And it's okay to celebrate yourself. I don't know if anybody told you that, but I'm gonna tell you today.
Thank you.
It is okay to celebrate yourself, and you good at what you do.
Thank you.
Fire at what you do.
Thank you.
So you see how you trying to rush through the thank yous? It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. But nah, definitely. And as you create more fun projects, right? What are the kind of things that you want to get into? Like, what style of photography is really your style?
Yes, so I want to do like my dream project. My dream project right now is like a case study on love through like images. Like I'm a big lover girl, and I would like to like, so like, you know, there's Greek words for love, and like, you know, agape love, or like, you know, there's like different kinds of love, like different kinds. It could be like friendly love, family love, erotic love. There's a lot of different kinds of love. So I want to like document each kind of love, like have an exhibit, and one wall would be like whatever kind of love, like whatever the Greek word is, and then another. So yeah, so like I think there's like 6 words, 6 kinds of loves. So like, you know, family love, romantic love, friendly love, stuff like that. So one lane would be like, you know, family love, and have pictures of like family members engaging and stuff like that. Yeah. And then have like another kind of love. So I want to like put love on images, like show people what love looks like, how it feels like, capture it on camera. All the different kinds of love.
I see the vision, man. Nah, we got to make this happen somehow. We can't let this die right here on the podcast.
That's my dream project.
We got to do that. Nah, we're going to accomplish that. It's going to happen by next year.
Yes.
It's going to happen. Yes. It's up in the air now.
Yes. Right, it is.
And let me ask you this. You know, this is one of my closing questions, right? And I love asking everybody this. And I think I asked you this that day, right? And you could probably give a different answer now because you've been thinking about it. What's one piece of advice that you would give to the younger Jasmin?
Yes. All right, so last time you asked me this, I said, remember that things take time. My younger Jasmin, piece of advice, I would say, this is a good question.
It's always a good question, man.
It's a good question.
It hits every time.
It does. I would say, I don't know. I would say like don't undervalue yourself. Don't undervalue yourself. Yeah, I think for me, one thing, sometimes you're not always lacking in self-esteem, but sometimes you just don't know how special you are. Like, and I feel like I'm a pretty special person, and I'm kind of coming to realize that. But before, like, I didn't, like, I kind of like people treat me like I was regular, and I wasn't regular. So yeah, like, you know, when you got something special, you have to realize it and operate in that. And you know, like you said, like, don't be afraid to say I'm special. Like, you know.
Yeah, nah, that's a fact. Okay, and then again, thank you for coming. This was like a dope interview, and we definitely gonna talk more off camera because I feel like I gotta pick your brain a little bit. That might be, you pay for that info, but thank you for coming, and thank you for just being you. I feel like this world needs more of you, and as you go out and continue to do what you do, I just hope that, like, you know, keep God close, keep them values, keep making things happen. And one time for everybody who's watching, like, where can we find your work? I know it's like 4 N's and 5 A's. So like, where can we find your work? Where can we support you in this journey? Like, let us know. Yes,
make sure you follow Daily Dimension. Make sure you tap in with them. And I appreciate your recognition. And thank you for doing what you do. Like, you know, you offer very thought-provoking, introspective kind of messages, and people need that. Like, you know, everything is not just cars and chains and cool clothes. Like, you know, we need to think about how we feel and think about what we're doing. So thank you for your work, and, you know, thank you for your ideas and putting them into fruition and actually doing the work, because you're sharing very valuable content. Like, when I was had my days where I didn't know myself so well, I looked to a lot of Instagram pages like this to offer, like, you know, valuable content, things to help me, like, feel my way through, and, you know, listen to other people talk about what they've been through to help me guide, you know, to help guide me as well. Yeah. So, you know, you're offering very valuable content. Keep doing what you do. Yes. But after you follow Daily Dimensions, make sure you can follow me at _JASSMI 4 N's NNNN 4 N's. Yes, feel free to reach out to me for bookings, for photography. I love to do family portraits, birthday events, things like that, and just get in contact with, I'm familiar with my work and be in tune for more.
We love it, man. All right. So, till next time, this is Daily Dimensions. Love y'all, man. Peace.